Good afternoon. I am Andrea Chisholm with the Midday News. A special welcome if you're watching on onespotmedia.com. The St. Catherine Health Department is coming under fire from that parish's Municipal Corporation for failing to provide information on what's being done to prevent the novel coronavirus from entering the parish. It's important to point out that the Health Ministry has not reported any case of the coronavirus in Jamaica. GRAYSON HUTCHINSON, the Chief Public Health Inspector for St. Catherine, faced the wrath of the mayor when he said he could not speak on the matter. More in this report.
Unacceptable, Mr. Hutchinson. We are the managers of this parish, and we are demanding information.
Spanish Town Mayor Norman Scott, not taking lightly the response to an earlier request for information on how the St. Catherine Health Department is monitoring the port in that parish to prevent it from being the gateway for the coronavirus into Jamaica. The information was requested by Councillor for the Treadways Division, Sidney Rose, at the parish's Municipal Corporation meeting on Thursday.
We have a port, Port Esquivel. I would like to know what, if any, arrangements are put in place to treat monitoring or any facility that anyone who would have departed any one of those vessels from anywhere in those areas which are affected to be quarantined and ultimately treated.
This is the response from the Chief Public Health Inspector, GRAYSON HUTCHINSON, which irked the mayor.
Prior to coming to this meeting, I had a discussion with the medical officer of health for the parish, and she reminded me that I am not at liberty to speak on the COVID 2019 virus, the new corona virus.
He said the Health Ministry will deal with the communication on the issue and pointed out that a meeting is scheduled with representatives from Port Esquivel. But more than calling the decision unacceptable, the mayor demanded that the information be provided.
We are responsible for the citizens of this parish, and we are demanding. So if you could tell Dr. Chen that through whatever medium, she needs to get that information to us, because we want it at our disaster meeting on Monday.
Prince Moore, TVJ News.
Meanwhile, the daily death toll in the Chinese province at the center of the coronavirus outbreak declined by 50% today. The Health Commission said it recorded 116 deaths and 4,823 new cases of the flu-like virus that emerged in Wuhan. Deaths and infections were down sharply on the previous day when a change in the methods of diagnosing patients led to a record spike in cases. However, international observers say the new figures give no indication the outbreak is nearing a peak. With residents fuming about the dust nuisance from the mud lake of the Gisca Alpart plant in St. Elizabeth, the government says it's moving to urgently address their concerns. The assurance comes from Minister without portfolio with responsibility for the environment, Darrell Vaz. TVJ's Anthony LUGG reports.
Following a meeting with GISCO, Portfolio Minister with responsibility for environment, Darrell Vaz, and other stakeholders, it was revealed that all parties had agreed on a short-term solution to fix the issue. So, when the meeting ended, Mr. Vaz visited several communities to hear residents' concerns and give them the news. But the residents had a message of their own. They want their medical concerns addressed urgently.
My understanding is that there is 400 requests for medical attention, for which they were using 2 doctors. I have said to them, 2 doctors can't manage 400. They need to get and activate more doctors in all of the areas that have been affected. Once there's a qualified doctor and he comes from a particular area or district and he has an office, engage him so we can catch up on it.
Despite that assurance from Mr. Vaz, some residents took issue with the methods currently being used.
those 2 doctors that the company are sending the people to, God forbid, if anything happen, the report where them a doctor go right, it can't tender in a court because a general practitioner. Them have to send it to a specialist. So the company always are using brain pan we because if them send it to any one of those doctors and anything happen to we and we want a medical report and then write to give we can't go give we can't stand up in a court.
If we did want to go to government clinic, we wouldn't ask them to send me to government clinic and go get 2 little. When sometimes we go to the health center, we can't get nothing to pressure pill because they don't have it. So how rude them be? I go take up we can't go a medical center if we go a doctor.
Meanwhile, Mr. Vaz promised the residents that new protocols will be followed in relation to how those health-related matters are dealt with.
What I want to see happen in the shortest possible time is to arrest the dust problem so that we don't need to talk about doctor, we don't need to talk about compensation. So,
Anthony Lugg, TVJ News.
Local Government Minister Desmond McKenzie is insisting that steps are being taken to deal with the drought conditions in St. Elizabeth. Last year, 4 water shops were constructed and 20,000 gallons of water delivered. The minister says the government has kept a commitment to give each division a 500-gallon water tank.
Only today, I presented to Mayor Sangster the quota of black tanks, 500-gallon water tanks for the parish of St. Elizabeth to be distributed between the 15 divisions in the parish of St. Elizabeth.
He noted that catchment for tanks in the parish will be rehabilitated to store water when it rains. A resolution has been passed to fund the trucking of water to all divisions.
The Ministry of Local Government, from the Equalization and Property Tax funding, is going to be providing for all the municipal corporations will be able to benefit from the amount of $100 million that we are setting aside for the trucking of water.
Minister McKenzie was speaking yesterday at a town hall meeting in Black River. St. Elizabeth is slated to receive $10 million to help truck water. And it's time for a break here on the Midday News, but stay with us. We'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back, and we're continuing the news. Opposition spokesman on education Peter Bunting is not satisfied with the Minister of Education's response to the current shortage of teachers. Mr. Bunting is calling for more incentives for the teachers, and we have details in this report.
On Thursday, the Ministry of Education revealed that 390 public sector teachers have resigned since September last year. Minister with responsibility for education, Carl Samuda, admitted that the high level of teacher migration has been affecting the ministry. He said measures are being taken to address the situation. However, opposition spokesman on education Peter Bunting is not as optimistic. Mr. Bunting asserts that Mr. Samuda's plan does not go far enough. He believes more should be done to quickly get more trained teachers into the system.
Well, first of all, they have to reestablish the scheme to increase the supply of properly trained teachers. That 200 scholarships per year that they had arranged with UTEC, that has to be recommenced immediately and brought up to the full. In effect, what you are doing by providing scholarships for their training and taking away the burden of the cost for these students is that you're increasing the compensation de facto. Because they will not have student loans that they will have to repay to get this training.
Mr. Bunting has outlined a plan which could deal with the restrictions placed on teachers giving their services to other schools where there are shortages.
They also need to look at employing teachers to the Ministry of Education rather than to individual schools. So there is flexibility for teachers to move between schools and not lose their seniority and their years of service, etc. So a number of strategic initiatives need to be put into a proper, comprehensive plan to address this.
Prince Moore, TVJ News.
In the meantime, Mr. Bunting is reluctant to support a higher salary for specialist teachers, including those who teach math and sciences. He says singling out teachers in a subject area may cause problems.
Then we realize there's a deficit in geography. Then we realize there's a deficit in IT, and so on. So I don't think you can deal with it in just this hodgepodge way. I think the responsibility of the teachers, certainly for the future, goes way beyond imparting just a technical curriculum. They have a socializing role in terms of the students who are coming into their classrooms without having received proper socialization at home or in their community, etc. That can't be just ignored. It has to be part of what you compensate teachers for.
There's another push for more Jamaican companies to target the CARICOM market. Commerce Minister Audley Shaw is encouraging Carib Cement and other manufacturers to sell more to the regional trade bloc.
You are building a capacity that means that you will be able to target the export industry as well. Because let us not forget that for far too long we have left, we say we have a Caribbean common market. We have not been exporting enough to the Caribbean. We call it the single market and economy. Turns out we've been the single market, and they have been exporting things to us. It's time now we turn things around, and we want to see more made in Jamaica in our 15-member CARICOM group of countries.
Health practitioners at the Morant Bay Health Center in St. Thomas are excited at yesterday's turnout of people to screen for prostate cancer. Pauline Ellington, parish manager for the St. Thomas Health Services, commented on the matter.
We really are heartened also by the turnout of the men in St. Thomas. It has often been said that men don't pay enough attention to their health, but the men in St. Thomas this morning really came up, and we have so many of them here. We're really very happy about this initiative. It's going to really impact positively on the health of the men in the parish.
We're actually very happy, far more than what we expected to have come out. We have had over 300 people coming out so far, and so we've had to look at having possibly other days scheduled for this. But today we'll be doing digital rectal examinations and blood screening.
And in sports, with reports of waning spectator support at sporting events locally, especially at the high school and club levels, local stakeholders are calling for an innovative approach to staging events. Chairman of the Gibson McCook Relays, Professor Rainford Wilkes, revealed that they will be giving away cash prizes this year as they look to bring out more spectators to the one-day relay carnival at the National Stadium. But noted sports marketer Chris Daring says it may require more than just cash prizes to bring out spectators.
The point is, you have to find a way to make your event attractive. And that may not be price, and it may not be when it is, and so on. You know, so that's not, don't call that promotion. That's not promoting an event. It's understanding your event, the kind of people that you want to reach. How can I get those people to come to my event? What else is taking place on that particular time that I'm going to be competing against? And it's not another live event. It could very well be something on television.
For ISA Vice President Colleen Montague, a collective approach is needed to tackle the issue.
It's a combination. It has to be the event organizer as well as the sponsors, so that you are playing both interests.
And that's the Midday News. I'm Andrea Chisholm, and do remember to join us at 7 for the Primetime News Package. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, good afternoon and have a great weekend.